cute. Hello, welcome back to my channel. Zuko's like, who the heck are you talking to? Welcome back. Today we have a book haul. It's my first ever book haul, so we'll see how this goes. At the end of April, it was my birthday, so I gave myself the go-ahead to buy books like all month long. So here I am almost a month later filming it for you guys. So yeah, here we go. Let's just jump right in. Zuko, he might stay there. Looks like he's a little sleepy boy. But if he makes any funny faces, just gotta screenshot it. No. Good boy. Okay, anyways. Let's get started, shall we? Okay. So, first is the one right next to me. So, I'm just gonna show this one. Changing Planes by Ursula K. Le Guin. She's like one of my favorite authors. I really love her style, like all the magical realism. You guys know that's like one of my favorites. I'm currently reading this one, so you know, somewhere in there. So I'm right now, I'd say it's just as magical and fantastical and wonderful as anything else that I read by her. But yeah, I don't have much else to say because I haven't finished it yet. But the basis of this is that there's this lady who's sitting in like her flight gets delayed or something, so she's sitting in the terminal and she discovers how she can change planes. You get the funny thing is I started this on a plane, obviously, but like instead of plane like a airplane, but like the plane of existence. My most favorite thing about Ursula K. Le Guin is that she's so dang imaginative. Like she'll come up with all these different worlds, these people. I wish I had her imagination. Instead I'll just read about it. On to the next. Another one. This is another one that I am currently reading, which, wow, another one that I'm enjoying a lot. It's called Last Summer in the City by Gianfranco Caligaric, maybe. Just pardon my pronunciation always. But it's originally published in Italy, and the foreword said that when it was first published, I think it was in the 70s, it wasn't really, well, he first couldn't get it published. Then all of a sudden, Natalia Ginsburg, she read it and she was so enamored by it. She read it over one night and then got like a publishing house to publish it. And it was so popular for a while. It won awards. It sold thousands of copies, and then it just like disappeared. And you could only find it in like used bookstores. And then it got republished in like I think 2010. And same thing. Everyone's like, "What the heck? Why didn't I like this before? Like when it first came out, or know about it?" And then same thing happened. It just like disappeared off the shelves. And then it finally got republished again in 2016, I think all over. Obviously it was translated and published in the US, but in the blurb, I can read the blurb for you guys if you want. It says, in a city smothering under the summer sun and an overdose of la dolce vita, Leo Gazzara spends his time in an alcoholic haze, bouncing between rundown hotels and the homes of his rich and well-educated friends without whom he would probably starve. At 30, he's still drifting between jobs that mean nothing to him, between human relationships both ephemeral and frayed. Everyone he knows wants to graduate, get married, get rich, but not him. He has no ambitions whatsoever. Rather than toil and spin, isn't it better to submit to the alienation of the eternal city, Rome? Sometimes a cruel and indifferent mistress, sometimes sweet and sublime. There can be no half measures with her. Either she's the love of your life, or you have to leave her. First discovered by Natalia Ginsburg, Last Summer in the City is a forgotten classic of Italian literature, a great novel of a stature similar to that of The Great Gatsby or The Catcher in the Rye. It says that he's compared to writers such as Truman Capote, Ernest Hemingway, and Jonathan Franzen. It's made in English English for the first time, which I actually do see some similarities between like The Great Gatsby and even The Catcher in the Rye. But one reason why I love this, or I'm enjoying this, because I haven't finished it yet, but I'm close. But one reason why I enjoy it so much more is like, okay, I'm one of those people who like is not a fan of The Catcher in the Rye. I mean, granted, I want to reread it now that I'm not like forced to read it. He was snoring, but his eyes are open. Anyways, now that I'm not forced to read it in like high school, so I can, see if my thoughts and opinions have changed. But one reason why I didn't like it is very like, obviously it's from the point of view of like a young male, and everything that happens or he says and writes and describes is very obviously from that point of view, that it's like so much so it's annoying. In this though, I would say that it's a lot more poetic. Obviously this is from the point of view of a young man as well, but it's so much more poetic, and there's like a lot of like phrases or paragraphs that like I'm like, whoa, like I relate, or this is so beautiful. It's like not something that I expected, which if you don't expect anything, you're bound to be pleased. But anyways, this is Last Summer in the City. So far I would recommend it, but let me finish it and I'll let you guys know. All right, next up, so at the beginning of May, that was this month, we went to Florida for like a little beach vacation with my wife's family, and it was so much fun. It was one of my first beach vacations ever. So in my book buying frenzy, I bought a lot of beach reads, kind of like more easily consumed. One of them is this, Something in the Water by Steadman. This is where a documentary filmmaker and a handsome investment banker, they go on a honeymoon to the tropical island of Bora Bora, and they enjoy the sun, the sand, each other, yada yada. But then when scuba diving, they find something in the water. Dun dun dun. I think that this is a thriller, so what do they find in the water? I don't know, I haven't read it yet. I didn't bring it on my beach vacation, so I'm just gonna have a beach vacation in my backyard in the sun, read this. But it was a part of Reese's book club. I'm excited to read it. I hope that it's like one of those books that like moves quickly and then like holds your attention right from the beginning and the get-go. That's one thing I really like about thrillers, although I don't really reach for too many thrillers, but that's one thing I do like about them when I read them, is that for the most part they grab your attention and then you're just in a chokehold until you're done. So that's another one. I don't know how many books this is, by the way. I didn't count beforehand, so I'll let you guys know at the end. We can count together. So far that was 3. Bum bum. When the Reckoning Comes by LaTanya McQueen, which I actually did read and finish and enjoyed. I would say that, was I happy with the ending? I don't know. I feel like I would have been okay if the ending was a little more gruesome than it was. But there is a happy ending aspect to it, so that's good. That's number 4. Let's go with this one. Girls of a Certain Age, short story collection by Maria Adelman. I think I've seen this one around on like Bookstagram, I think. But this is a debut collection, and it just talks about different things that women go through, I believe. It says, what is the right way to handle an abusive partner? An unexpected pregnancy, a toxic friendship, chronic unemployment, a family member going to war, a disability, anger, loneliness, finding themselves in various kinds of disempowering, frightening, or otherwise unendurable circumstances. The girls and women in Maria Adelman's stories looks for ways to free themselves into new lives, or at the very least, new states of feeling. Sometimes they do this by hurting someone else or getting hurt, sometimes by submitting, other times by mounting rebellion. With a special talent for pressing the sharp up against the tender, Adelman explores the many pathways through the titular condition. Titular. It says, ranging in style from the magical to the terrifying to the calm tones of a self-help manual, Girls of a Certain Age captures the spectrum of strategies we apply to the pain of life, strategies that we persist in pretending might actually work. This also, just want to say, I love the cover. It's really cute. It's got like a little bust here, some wine, a little bustier. That's what you call a bra, right? I think. But cute. I'm excited to read this. Obviously, self-identifying as a woman and a girl, like, I feel like I might find some very relatable stories or like feelings because of the stories, you know. So that's number 5. This is called Inappropriation by Lexi Freiman, or yeah, Freiman. This one is about a 15-year-old who is confronted with an alienating social hierarchy at a private girls' school in Australia. It talks about PC culture, her parents' kinky sex life, Ziggy's, the main character's understanding of gender, race, and class. It sounds basically like this is kind of like maybe a coming of age in terms of maybe a little bit comedy of a 15-year-old girl, especially in modern times, you know, going through like all the different challenges a 15-year-old could run into. That's number 6. Yep, we went through that. Yep, 6. Okay. So up next we have 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I got Italo Calvino. So as you guys know, I was talking about, I think maybe in one of my first videos, I discussed how Italo Calvino is one of my favorite authors. But then I was thinking about it, I was like, dang, out of all of his works, which he's written a lot, I have only actually read one of his books. So can I claim that he's one of my favorite novels? Or novelists? Authors? If I've only read one of his books? I don't know. So I'm going on a little quest. I think I'm going to make this a video too. Look out for that. And reading all his works, or at least the ones I can find. I mean, I've got, I think 13. I think there's probably like 8 more that I don't have, maybe. I'm just guessing at the numbers, but I know that there's like still quite a few that I don't have. But I want to like actually go through and see if like by the end of this journey, after reading all of his works, or at least the majority of his works, can I still say that he's my favorite author, or will my mind change? Maybe I just really love the book that I read, which was Invisible Cities. So we've got Difficult Loves, The Cloven Viscount, this one's a hefty boy, Fantastical Tales, which I also just really love these editions too, so I'm trying to collect all of them, you know, like it's just so cute and so simple but so cute. Which this obviously is not just his like fiction, there's also like essay collections and nonfiction works as well. But 6 Memos for the Next Millennium, Into the War, The Non-Existent Night, and The Baron in the Trees. So there we have it. Those are 13. All right, up next, this is another like beach read that I got. It's called Blood Orange by Harriet Tice, or Ticey, probably Tice. This is like a thriller. Sounds very thrillerish. Ready? Allison has it all. A doting husband, adorable daughter, and a career on the rise. She's just been given her first murder case to defend. But all is never as it seems. Allison drinks too much, which I saw someone talk about it, or heard someone talk about it, something, make a comment, whatever. Why are all these like women, high-powered women, in like the like thrillers and murder mysteries, like why do they always have a drinking problem or a drug problem? But anyways, she's neglecting her family, and she's having an affair with a colleague whose taste for pushing boundaries may be more than she can handle. Allison's client doesn't deny that she stabbed her husband. She wants to plead guilty. And yet something about her story is deeply amiss. Saving this woman may be the first step to Allison saving herself. But someone knows Allison's secrets. Someone who wants to make her pay for what she's done, and who won't stop until she's lost everything. So, this one, again, sounds like a very, not light read, but an easy read almost. One that will hopefully grab your attention from the get-go and twist and turn throughout the book. And, you know, I do like those types of books that, like, there's plot twists around every corner. What's gonna happen? Nobody knows. Anyway, that's the mat. That's 14, I think, right? Okay. Here we've got another Ursula K. Le Guin. This is called The Word for World is Forest, which apparently was the winner of the Hugo Award. I believe that this is a part of not a series, I think. I'm not sure. I'll get back to you guys on that. But it says, when the inhabitants of a peaceful world are conquered by the bloodthirsty humans, not humans, but their existence is irrevocably altered. Forced into servitude, the Athshians find themselves at the mercy of their brutal masters. Desperation causes the Ashians, led by Selver, to retaliate against their captors, abandoning their strictures against violence. But in defending their lives, they have endangered the very foundations of their society. For every blow against the invaders is a blow to the humanity of the Athshians. Once the killing starts, there is no turning back. So, it like I said, Ursula K. Le Guin just has that talent to create worlds, different universes, different species, and just flesh them out. And you're there right with her as she's doing it. So I'm excited to read this one too. It's also quite a short book for like magical realism, fantasy, sci-fi. I think this might be considered fantasy, but that's that one. All right, up next, this is number 16. Yep, 16. So I'm a big fan of Anthony Bourdain. I love his journalism, his docu-series, you know, what's it called, like No Reservations or Parts Unknown, all of them. They're just like my favorite. So I had no idea that he was actually like wrote fiction as well. So I got a couple of his books, actually, at least 2 in this little book haul. So I wanted to see if he's any good at writing fiction too. So this is called Bone in the Throat, about a chef, Tommy, who is stuck in his uncle's restaurant in Manhattan's Little Italy, and he finds himself a part of a big time crime. This sounds like it's gonna be good. Just like something I really never read. So that's that. Let's see what Anthony Bourdain has got when it comes to writing fiction. So, up next we have Future Home of the Living God by Louise Erdrich. This one is very prevalent to the current happenings of the world. I believe from what I remember of the blurb that it has to do with women giving birth, but they're giving birth to, I can't remember if it's like mixed human animal or like a different, not like human that you know, I guess. So the main character I know is pregnant, and it kind of questions like female autonomy of their body, I guess kind of what it means to be human, and like biological issues. So yeah, this one I was like very important to read, especially in this time, this day and time. So that's number 17. Up next, we have the Tensor Series by Neon Yang. So this is actually a collection of novellas, which I think that they're 4 different novellas all in one. So that's why it's like a thick boy, another thick boy. So Neon Yang established who I believe is non-binary. Nian Yang established himself as a fantasist in bold defiance of the limitations of their genre. Available now in a single volume, these 4 novellas grace the generational decline of an empire and unfurl a world that is rich and strange beyond anything you've dreamed. In the Tensor series, you will find rebellious, non-binary scions of empire, sky-spanning nagas with experimental souls, revolutionary engineers bent on bringing power to the people, pugilist monks, packs of loyal raptors, and much, much more. And I got my mom a copy of this one too, because I was like, she doesn't really read. Sometimes we like buddy read things together. She doesn't really read that much of fantasy. So, but yeah, fun to see how she does with this, because it's a whole 4-book series in one. Voila. That's 18. Up next, number 19, another Ursula K. Le Guin. We have Lavinia, which this one I believe is based off of Greek mythology, I want to say. And then she like makes it her own story. Sorry, my foot's falling asleep. Do you want me to read it? You guys can't answer me, so I'm just gonna read it for you. Virgil's hero fights to claim the king's daughter Lavinia, with whom he is destined to found an empire. Lavinia herself never speaks a word. Now, Ursula K. Le Guin gives Lavinia a voice in a novel that takes us to a half-wild world of ancient Italy, when Rome was a muddy village near 7 hills. Lavinia grows up knowing nothing but peace and freedom until suitors come. Her mother wants her to marry handsome, ambitious Turnus, but omens and prophecies spoken by the sacred spring says she must marry a foreigner, that she will be the cause of a bitter war, and that her husband will not live long. When the fleet of Trojan ships sails up the Tiber, Lavinia decides to take her destiny into her own hands, and so she tells us what Virgil did not, the story of her life and the love of her life. Cute. I think that this is kind of a cool tactic to do, is like take a story, but kind of like give it a different history, or, you know, take a different character's point of view and kind of make it your own. It's not something that everyone can do, you know, but if anyone can do it, my girl Ursula can. Up next, this one I'm very intimidated by. We've got Anna Karenina by Leo Tolstoy, which, a really thick boy. This is obviously like a classic, which I've never read before. So I feel like it's just time. It's time for me to dive in. I have to say that I'm not like the most avid classical reader. I don't know. Sometimes they're just really hard to slug through. Sometimes it's very slow going. So it's something that I don't do often. But, you know, when everyone's talking about it, or, you know, like referencing it and other things, you're like, what am I missing? Like, I want to know. I want to know what's going on in the world or in literature and that other book that's talking about it. So I got this to experience. I feel like I kind of have big book fear because I often don't gravitate towards really large books. Whoa. This print is very small also. Ooh, that one's gonna be fun to read. Yeah. Up next, 21, is something that I've seen everywhere that I've really wanted to read for a really long time, but I never had a chance to pick it up. But now I did. Now I have had the chance. The Nickel Boys by Colson Whitehead. I've heard so many good things about this. I've heard that it's very tough read, a little bit sad, well, a lot of it sad, but very important and very well written. So I'm excited to experience this. It won the Pulitzer Prize, so impressive. Like I said, I've only heard good things about it, so I'm excited to start that one time soon, hopefully soon. All right, so next up we have 7 Days in June by Tia Williams, another Reese's Book Club. I saw this all over. I think this was like all over BookTube. I think it was a part of like the book of the month. So a lot of people had this. I believe that this is kind of like a little bit of a spicy book. I know it's about an author who writes erotic fiction, And it has to do, sorry, it has to do with her meeting up with an old lover who she had like a 1-week fling, back in the day. I think it's kind of like a love story too. So I'm excited to read that. There was a lot of hype around it, so we'll see. Does it live up to the hype? We'll see. All right. So the next one also, does it live up to the hype? That's what I want to find out. I have an idea for another video. Sally Rooney. I haven't read any Sally Rooney at all, but right now she's everywhere. I think like, I don't have book talk, but from what I've seen on like Instagram and like booktube, she's like, I think she's like a book talk, like, you know, like a that girl kind of book, or author. So I wanted to see, is she worth it? Is she like, am I a that girl? I don't know. I haven't gotten the other 2 books yet, but I want to read all 3 of them. And also, I saw that, I think it's Conversation with Friends, which I'm not sure if it was like one of her first 2 novels. I don't know if it was her first one or her second, but just came out as a TV show or a movie, one of those on Hulu. So I want to also watch and then like give my little thoughts in case anyone wants to know what I think about Sally Rooney. Next up, another Anthony Bourdain. This is called The Bobby Gold Stories. It's about a criminal, also about the like restaurant business, like, or restaurant scene. So from what I gather, at least, with these 2 books, Anthony Bourdain likes to add his restaurant experience and expertise in his fiction writing. So yeah, another one that I'm excited to read. This one is like very cute. It's called Guestbook, Ghost Stories. You can't see. Well, can you? There's like ghost stories. I don't know. This is like just like an old school, like no dust cover, but like hard cover. I like it. By Leanne Shapton. I believe it's just ghost stories. Like, I believe they're short stories. Whoa. Maybe I was wrong. There's pictures and stuff in this book. Is this about real ghost stories? It says, a tennis prodigy collapses after his wins, crediting them to an invisible, not entirely benevolent presence. A series of ghosts appear at their former bedsides, some distraught, some fascinated to witness their new occupants. A woman returns from a visit to Alcatraz with an uncomfortable feeling. The spirit of a prisoner has attached himself to you, a friend tells her. He sought the sympathy you had for those men. In more than 24 stories and vignettes, accompanied by an evocative curiosity cabinet of artifacts and images. Oh, there's the part about the images I missed. It all makes sense now. It says, Guestbook beckons us through the glimmering, unsettling evidence that marks our paths in life. All right, so I think that's 25, which is how old I turned. So we should have stopped it right then and there, but not me. All right, up next, we've got Neil Gaiman's The Graveyard Book. I feel like this is a pretty classic book. I've never read it though. Neil Gaiman is a pretty classic author, you know? Not classic like Tolstoy, but like classic. Most people know Gaiman and, you know, his work. So there we are. And okay, so I did read this one actually. It's called The Loneliest Girl in the Universe, which I believe this is a YA novel. And it's like fantasy, or no, it's not fantasy, it's sci-fi. I never thought that I would really gravitate towards young adult books, especially young adult sci-fi, but I saw this and it sounded interesting, so I decided to try it out, and it was actually pretty good. The one thing I did like have issues with, or not issues, but I wasn't fond of, was the writing style, which I thought was pretty juvenile, but it is, you know, young adult, so getting written for the audience that's going to receive it best, kind of. But the plot was pretty good, and I liked the sci-fi aspects to it, because this girl is just on a spaceship going to a new like planet, trying to find like another Earth, you know? So this one I would recommend if you're like a fan of young adult and sci-fi. There we go. Wrap up my thoughts on that really quick. Continuing with the theme, we've got Broken Stars. They're contemporary Chinese science fiction that have been translated. So the main reason why I picked this up is, number one, I'm branching out and trying sci-fi, fantasy a little bit more, you know, trying to read more in different genres. But I did see that this was edited and translated by Ken Liu. So I read his short story collection, The Paper Menagerie, and I really enjoyed it. So I'm excited to see like what he thought and, you know, the different types of stories and works that he brought together. So I believe that it's different stories, I believe. So yeah, excited to try that. And another one. This is called Invisible Planets, which is an anthology of contemporary Chinese science fiction in translation. So basically the same thing. This has 16 short stories. This one has 13, which makes sense because this one's a little bit smaller than this one. But so another short story collection of sci-fi, but specifically from Chinese sci-fi writers. So again, it was edited and translated by Ken Liu. So there we go. I picked up, okay, so whenever I'm on BookTube, I always see this author thrown around, or not thrown around, but brought up in multiple different, like, good ways, bad ways. It's N.K. Jemisin. So this is called The City We Became, which Neil Gaiman says that it's glorious. This is about, like, the soul of a city, and I believe that this is a part of a series. I think this is the first one. I don't know if it's a trilogy or a series, actually, but I've heard really good things about this. I've also heard bad things, saying that it's like a little bit slower. That's a good like premise, a good idea, but it's not like necessarily flushed out the way it should be. But we'll have to give it a try, you know? If I'm not a fan of this one, I do want to try, I think she has a fantasy series that I've heard of, maybe? I'm not sure. I think it's this one, the Broken Earth trilogy. It says the 5th season. Oh, you guys can't read it. I think that's pretty popular on BookTube, so I'll give it a shot. See if I'm a fan or not. Don't worry, I won't give up on NK just because of that. Last but not least, we have My Dark Vanessa by Kate Elizabeth Russell, which I've actually heard that this is within the same vein, if not a similar story to Lolita. I think it's Lolita. It's about a teen being groomed by her teacher. So I heard that this one is actually very, very difficult, but very beautifully written. So I'm like intrigued. I just want to see what kind of experience it is. This has been praised a lot, not because of like necessarily content matter, just because of like how beautifully written it was. So I'm always like intrigued to see like how authors go about like very difficult subject matter. I would be interested to see if I read this and then also within the same like span of time read Lolita and saw, I keep saying Lolita, but I don't know if it's Lolita. I don't know. Do you guys know what book I'm talking about? Anyways, see how they compare, and if they do compare, or if it's just like same subject, different completely, you know, which I'm sure like obviously they're different, you know, but how similar they compare is what I'd be interested in seeing. So there we go. Got 31 books for my birthday, turning 25. Hopefully you guys will see some cool videos from me in the future, near future. Thank you so much for stopping by, guys. If you made it this far in the video, thank you. I know this was a long book haul. There's a lot of books, and it's my first book haul ever, so I probably made it way longer than it had to be, but I appreciate you. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment. What's the last one? Turn on notifications. I promise I won't be blowing up your phone. No, just kidding. Anyways, alright, I guess I'll see you guys in my next video. So